to Acres Homes with Love.
Chapter 2, The Compatibility Factor. Hello? The 7 o'clock a.m. phone call could only have been Ken calling from Harris County Jail. She pressed the number 1 after being prompted to do so by the automated system. Hello? He shouted over the background noise. Siobhan started to whimper to Ken about all she was going through and how much she was missing him. The tone of his voice softened, as it always did once he heard hers. Baby, you gonna be all right? I'm trying to be. Did you sing at the funeral? Nope. Where's Big Lynn and Tanisha? I bet they spent the night with you, huh? Y'all went to the club last night? How many niggas tried to holler at you? Somewhere during the conversation, his tone had changed again. He had gone from being her comforter to being a drill sergeant in only a matter of seconds. Ken, do you think I want to hear this bullshit? And when have I ever let grown folks spend a night at my house? You know how private I am. Don't be stupid. And I haven't been to a club in over a year, but you think I'm going to go after watching my friend get killed? I guess you think I want to answer a lot of questions from a lot of outsiders about a lot of personal and painful shit, right? And if somebody did try to holler at me, I'm married, dumbass. Trust me, anybody around here who even thinks they fly enough to step to me already knows that. Ken butted in. Baby, I'm sorry. You know I trust you. I just don't trust them disrespectful niggas out there. Motherfuckers still call you Tate instead of Ferguson. And another thing, I know your people don't cover me too much. And I know you spent all day yesterday with them. He paused and said, Mrs. Kenneth Ferguson, I love you. Yeah, well, I love you too, but I spent all day yesterday grieving. You're not even concerned about that. It's too bad you can't just stay free long enough to comfort your wife. Then the automated system announced, you have 1 minute remaining. Ken called back twice more with a few I love yous, many requests, and a hefty to-do list for his loyal wife. Since his arrival to the Harris County Jail, Siobhan was super wife. She immediately stacked his commissary and began pumping out daily letters, which were all misted with expensive perfumes. With $1,000 added to his books, Ken didn't realize that he was being floated by his own money. Before he got locked up, Ken would give Siobhan $100 to $300 daily just to splurge. She used very little of the allowance and shopped at her favorite upscale thrift stores for Banana Republic, Anne Klein, Abercrombie, and other stylish yuppie clothing. Her frugal personality wouldn't allow Siobhan to pay $70 in the mall for the same stuff she could find in the resale shops for under $5. She felt she looked fabulous either way. Ken routinely checked the labels in all the new clothes his baby girl would purchase. He wanted to make sure she wasn't buying non-name brand clothes and pocketing his cash. Since most of the labels matched the names of the stores that she had pointed out to him in the mall, he knew she had paid dearly for them. Cleverly, Siobhan stashed the majority of the money in her savings account. She managed to rake up around $4,500 in less than 2 months of being with Ken, which made it easier to coast while he was incarcerated. Siobhan's preferences amused Ken. She would never ask for anything, and when he offered something, her selections were modest. This was far different from the baby fat and apple bottom requests Ken was accustomed to. Siobhan's sense of style was another favorite topic for her brother, Beau. He once said her style's fit for a bag lady or a runaway slave. He joked that on a good day, she dressed like Denise Huxtable, whose unique style he secretly admired. In all fairness, Siobhan had mastered the art of making a $2 outfit look like it was worth $200. In addition to that, her confident, queenly walk also caused her to linger among the best and above the rest. The fact that she was physically attractive was helpful too. Those large, slanted eyes of hers and that smooth chocolate skin made her magnetic. Her lips are foxy and plump like a brat's doll's. To Ken, she's a prize. But Pastor James has said that the two were unequally yoked. Looking back, Siobhan and Ken both grew up in the same neighborhood, but Acres Homes covers a 12-mile radius in Houston. It has about 20,000 people in it. Folks still say this community reminds them of the country, because at any given time, a horse and its rider or a flock of chickens could be found crossing a busy street. It's also fairly common to see a $500 car on some $2,500 rims, or a $50,000 car parked at a $14,000 house. Perhaps the funniest inhabitants are the uppity ones who have moved on up, but not out. It's comical to watch them build their $150,000 homes on $12,000 lots and then act like they wish the natives would just move away. Factually, one could say that Ken and Siobhan grew up on different sides of the track because of how their neighborhood is divided into two sections by one street. On one side of West Montgomery Boulevard, there's Lincoln City, and the other side's named Carver Heights. Siobhan was reared in Lincoln City, where her family name still packs plenty of weight. Back when everybody's main source of transportation was a horse, Siobhan's grandparents had purchased several acres scattered throughout the area, and her family still owns all of that property. Altogether, the Tate clan has built 2 stores, 1 burger joint, a fried chicken shack, a barbecue hut, 1 nightclub, 3 churches, a beauty shop, 1 barbershop, and numerous rent houses in the community. To the surprise of those who've met her, Siobhan has never been boastful about her clout. Her peers often invited her into their cliques. And even though she privately wished that she could stay to herself, she was graciously sociable with basically any crowd. Generally, though, she would hang out with the big dogs and stand up for the underdogs. Oddly enough, she had always felt like she was popular by default and that it was her personal preference to be unknown and alone. On the flip side of the coin, Kenneth Lee Ferguson was quite the opposite. He greatly craves attention and validation from others. His childhood in Carver Heights was not as delightful as Siobhan's childhood had been. In fact, his mama's story was strikingly similar to that throwback movie, Claudine. She had 6 kids, no man in the house, blocks of government cheese in the refrigerator, and a secret job as a housekeeper across town in the prestigious River Oaks subdivision. Ken and his siblings were basically self-taught, self-dressed, and self-fed. Cruel kids from around the way commonly ridiculed him about being dumb, dingy, or hungry. This bothered him so much that during his lunch period, he would rather starve than to whip out his free lunch card to be hole-punched at the front of the cafeteria line. When he was 17, his sister's boyfriend decided to show Ken the business of stealing cars and rims. Nearly 15 years later, it's still the business that keeps Ken fed, and most importantly to him, it keeps him in the loop. As far as he's concerned, if he has the freshest rims, along with the most beat in his trunk, then that's enough to keep niggas' mouths closed. The very first time he and Siobhan had ever crossed each other's paths was when he was 19 and Siobhan was 17 years old back in 1996. That summer, Lincoln City's park was crunk on every Sunday from about 5 o'clock p.m. to about 9 o'clock. Afterwards, everybody used to mount up and head over to a BYOB hole in the wall called Sid's Ranch. Siobhan always had a natural attraction for mafia-type men, so she prepped her friends for the mission. Whoever is running things, that's who I'm gonna pull. Watch me. But if he starts acting like he's more fly than me, I'ma drop his ass and pull another one. Siobhan's always believed that real leaders are not too loud or cocky. She frequently wished that she could find a man who was as major as Lanka. Big Lynn challenged her. Girl, please, you just talking. You know, whenever niggas be trying to talk to you, you don't never rap to them with your funny acting ass. You just cuddle up under Lanka and Bo them and act like you Miss Untouchable or somebody. Big Lynn sometimes seemed displeased with how Siobhan's older brothers seemed to put her on a pedestal. Because of her brother's ghetto stardom, it was natural for the local guys to feel somewhat insecure about dating Siobhan. But to Siobhan, insecurity was the worst trait a man could have. This caused her to turn down countless proposals of going steady. When they met, Ken showed no signs of insecurity. That's because he was paid, his gear was crisp and clean, and he was eating like a king. For him, hustling had bought and brought security. Siobhan could never forget that hot summer day in '96. Lincoln City Park was packed. Coochie cutting shorts, backless tops, and flimsy form-fitting outfits were all over the place. Silk shirts and leather shorts came across as a fashion, yes, and ridiculously excessive gold jewelry was a must. As usual, big booty broads had their pick of the litter no matter what they were wearing. Siobhan's clique was collectively cute. In their own ways, each of them was a prime selection. Within 10 minutes of their arrival, she had zeroed in on a cutie pie who was evidently the leader of his pack. Her posse stayed close by her side as they circled around that unsuspecting group of young men like hawks, at least twice. Siobhan had an exact idea of what she would say to Mr. Mystery whenever he decided to kick things off. "He must be scared to say something to me," she said to her buddies. After all, Siobhan couldn't fathom any other reason why that cutie pie hadn't stepped to her yet. Ken had noticed her too, but he thought she seemed a little too preppy for his taste. "See that girl right there?" One of the young men had recognized Siobhan. He continued with his story. "She told Trisha Dean's ass up at that Valentine's party Lil Woo and them had threw at their house. It took about 6 niggas to get her off of Trisha's ass. By the time Felicia and Emma Dean them showed up, Trisha told them hoes she didn't want to do nothing but go home. Shit. A girl was dropping the bombs on her ass. I know damn well Trisha wasn't ready for round 2. Ken got excited. "Who? Which one?" he asked. When his friend pointed Siobhan out of the huddle, Ken saw hearts and stars. He couldn't figure out how such a sexy little chick could handle up and beat a mean and manly female like Trisha Dean. Usually girls who looked like Siobhan and her circle of friends were much too prissy and scary for Ken. He knew he couldn't even slap a girl like that in the mouth and expect a good rumble. That type would rather cry and call the police or something. After the newfound news, Ken walked up behind Siobhan and pulled her by her belt loop on her Guess shorts. She wore Guess flip-flops and a fitted Guess t-shirt to match. Rather than saying hello, he suggested, "Let's go get you a Guess purse to go with your little outfit. Your nigga must have ran out of money or something." Siobhan was so glad he had finally said something to her. She answered saying, "First of all, I ain't got no nigga. I buy my own shit. Second of all, that Guess purse you're talking about is in my car. And third of all," he placed his pointer finger over her moving lips. "Damn, baby girl, how high you gonna count before you give me your digits?" "Them the only numbers I'm trying to hear." That sealed the deal. He was a cutie pie, plus a take charge kind of fella. They both noticed the strong chemistry between the two of them, but they never really got a true chance to test the compatibility factor. 2 short weeks after they met, Siobhan was scheduled to move away to Prairie View, Texas, with Tanisha and Dee Dee to go to college. Ken and Siobhan made the most of their limited time together. They had quickly adapted to a charming little routine, which included hour-long conversations beginning at 8 o'clock sharp every morning. His quick wit kept her laughing. Ken didn't know it, but she was aware of how he was completely unguarded with her. This made her feel special. Pee-wee's Snack Shack was their daily meeting place. Over grape slushes, they shared secrets with each other about matters that neither one of them had discussed with anyone else before. Siobhan liked him so much, she had even given some thought to attending TSU as opposed to Prairie View. As long as it was a historical black college or university, she would be fine. After years of jamming in Booker T. Washington's remarkable band, she would have a fit not to play her flute in an equally crunk atmosphere. Mama Tate was open-minded enough to allow the change. Since she wasn't receiving any type of financial aid or anything, it would be a fairly smooth process. On the other hand, Tanisha and Dee Dee's parents couldn't make sense of such long-term plans being altered in the blink of an eye. Dee Dee had a scholarship and Tanisha had a Pell Grant. Both Ken and Siobhan liked each other enough to remain in contact, so they really tried hard to for about 3 weeks. Unfortunately, their long-distance courtship faded rather quickly.